We were talking earlier about over last week, there, of course, two big cases in front of the Supreme Court. One dealing with Proposition 8 in California, and one dealing with with DOMA, the federal marriage legislation. And some right-wingers have softened their view and attempted to enter into the 21st, really the 20th century in many respects, but by saying, what's the big deal about marriage equality? We now have it in a bunch of states, and apparently we're not seeing cats and dogs raining from the skies. The locusts have not come. The pestilence has not come. That's all an impact of global warming. They haven't gotten there yet, but so, you know, what's the big deal? Now, as those national figures try and temper themselves, guys like even Bill O'Reilly, apparently, less exposed conservatives, those who are in the trenches, like the radio host Steve Deace, who I've never heard of, but I imagine he represents a lot of the sentiment on the right. They are having none of it. In fact, they're very mad at Bill O'Reilly. Let's play that clip.
If you usurp the will of the people, we saw it in Iowa, you usurp the will of the people, 3 justices get removed. There's a credibility gap with the justices that continue to serve. If you usurp the vote of the people of California, you will set off a constitutional crisis across these United States. And it should be a constitutional crisis. I think people like you and me and others, we'd help do our part to set off a constitutional crisis. If that
Pause it for one second.
That is in fact what
Pause it for 1 second. What are they going to do to set off a constitutional crisis? What the hell does that mean? I've always understood a constitutional crisis when you've seen the federal legislature square off against the presidency, square off against the Supreme Court. How is what happens with the Supreme Court of the United States overturning a law in California going to set off a constitutional crisis? What is this guy even talking about? What is he? He's going to foment some type of coup? Continue.
All right, when we come back, I've got a bee in my bonnet.
Now, I should say, and this is Steve Deace. The other guy, I don't even know who he is, but he does apparently have the ability to set off a constitutional crisis. Go ahead.
Bill O'Reilly at Fox News. I don't like charlatans. I don't like frauds. Give me Rachel Maddow. At least she's honest. But when you're trying to profit off of the very people you're betraying, and you have tried to condescend them and patronize them for years, and then at the moment they probably need you to return the favor of all the money they made you over the last 15 years the most, you stab them in the back, throw them under the bus, and use the enemy's own language against them. To me, that's a hanging offense, all right? That is a hanging offense.
Wow, this guy's got a very low bar for hanging offenses. When you are a disingenuous Fox News host, you're going to get hung, according to this guy. I also like the fact that you have tried to condescend them and patronize them for years, and then at the moment they probably need you to return the favor of condescending to them and patronizing them, I guess, of all the money they can make you over the last 15 years. You stab them in the back. And then, of course, I think I would be willing to wager that the number one saying in the right over the past 4.5 years has been throw them under the bus, because they got so attached to that with President Obama disavowing Reverend Wright, throwing him under the bus. That became the catch-all for everything. So there you have it. And that audio was clipped by Charles Johnson over at Little Green Footballs, who one of those conservatives who started to realize, like, what, you know, all the guys I hang out with, they're all insane.
That is literally the description of his career arc.
Yes, it's basically he just woke up one day and just looked around and go, wait a second, what am I doing in a room full of insane people? Unbelievable.